All right, I believe we are. Yes, we are. Okay, so we're recording. And so let me start off by talking again about the discussion, because I've again had a couple of people mention to me the fact that discussions are due by the end of the day, Saturday. And while it says that in the actual discussion assignment, the fact is, if you really read carefully, and if you also take a look at my announcements, I'm pretty sure, Amanda, have you checked any of the announcements that I put in there?
Yeah, I've read all of them.
I have. Okay. I did put in an announcement to the effect of what I want to do, what I want you to do with the discussion, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Okay, so there is an announcement. I know I sent an email. Did you ever receive an email regarding the announcements, Amanda?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that I'm not saying something that's not true. I sent an email. I also have an announcement that gives you specifics about how to do these discussions. I'll go over that in a second. Also, it stands to reason that you have a cutoff deadline of Saturday, the end of the day, which means that anything that's done after that will not be graded without losing points. However, it is a discussion, and I just want you all to think about it for a minute. If every single one of you put in your main topic and 2 replies 8 hours before the end of the week, how on earth are we supposed to have a discussion with that? I mean, first of all, if nobody's submitting their main topic until 8 hours before the end of the day Saturday, how's anybody even supposed to comment on it? I mean, think about it, right? Am I nuts?
Right.
If you're 8 hours, you go in there, you got 8 hours. Everybody's going to wait till 8 hours to go in and start commenting on somebody's post that's there now. It's all day, 5 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Nobody's there putting anything in. Saturday, everybody puts it in. How is that a discussion? It makes no sense whatsoever.
Right.
So, to say, well, I have until the end of the day Saturday, technically you do. After Saturday, you're supposed to not be doing any more of that discussion. It's over. But the point is, your main topic must be put in by the end of the day Wednesday. That means that Wednesday is the cutoff. If you submit your main topic post after Wednesday, if it's Thursday, I'm going to deduct points. And if you don't put in 2 comments to your fellow students, I'm going to deduct points for that as well. And ultimately, you want to do that on 2 different days. And you want to do it early enough that the student who you're commenting to or someone else may want to comment on your comment. That's what a discussion is all about.
Right.
And it's not just for me. I mean, look, you guys, I don't know, Amanda, how much more school do you have? You're here, so I'm asking you, how much more of this?
This is my 4th mod at this school.
So how many? Yeah, but this is your first year?
At this school, yeah.
Okay, so you got 2 years or 3 years or 4 years? What are you getting, associates or a bachelor?
Bachelor's.
Okay, so 4 years. You're going to go 3 more years.
Yep.
Okay, the point I'm trying to make with this is that you guys are not going to stop doing discussions with me. I'm not the only person that you're going to be doing discussions with. So if you want to get mad at me, if you want to, say, well, you're a lousy instructor and I hated you and all that stuff, fine. The point that I'm trying to make is that you're going to be doing these discussions for every single one of your courses from this point forward. So, I'm going to be hard-nosed with you, and I'm going to try to make you understand what you should do and how you should do it, so that when you get into other courses, you'll do it right. And then this way, I mean, these actually are pretty easy credits that you get here. I think it's like 60 credits for a discussion, 60 points for a discussion each week. That's easy. If all you have to do is write a nice topic, whatever. And another thing too is if it tells you 300 words, don't come in with 80 words. Don't come in with 150 words. Write 300 words. A number of people have written, like 80 to 100 words. And I'm thinking, well, there's not 300 words there. So I'm just saying, look at what it is you have to do and realize that it is a discussion. You have Monday, you have Tuesday. Here it is. We're on Monday right now. You got Tuesday, Wednesday. You got till Wednesday to do this. I mean, it shouldn't take you more than an hour. I know from my own experience working with these topics, and I work with them in every mod I teach, there's none that are more than maybe an hour or so's worth of work. And I'm talking about doing the research, taking the research, converting it into your own thoughts, doing your APA referencing and citation, put a title on it, and bang, you put it into your post and you're done. That's all there is to it. And if you want to, if there's another post there the night that you do it, okay, so you go ahead and you reply to one of your students. You wait till the next day, you go in and you reply to another student. Now you got 2 different replies on 2 different days. I'm not thrilled when you do it that way. I'd much rather you do, like, say, if you put your main post in on Monday, I would much rather you put your first discussion reply in on Tuesday and the other in on Wednesday. Only reason I'm saying this is I'm your instructor, and I swear to you, I promise you, whatever workload you think you have, I am doing 4 times the amount of workload that you have. Not only that, but I have a full-time job 3 days a week on top of what I do. So again, you know, and I also do freelancing when I have certain people that I do freelancing for. So I mean, I guarantee you, as your instructor, I do at least 4 times the amount of work that you do. And you know, you're looking for a degree. I'm not looking for anything other than to help you. That's really what it comes down to. So,
and it's not just you. This is the standard for all classes.
Yeah, that's why. Well, that's why I want to make a point of it, because if you get into the habit of doing this, you'll go into your other classes knowing what you got to do and doing it, and then you're going to get easy credits. I mean, like I say, these credits are easy. Another thing that's really easy credits that I just can never understand people skip are the daily checkpoints. These are easy credits. How long does it take to do that? It just
less than 5 minutes.
Right, and most of them are not difficult. You have, I think, do they give you unlimited time to do that, Amanda, or do they have a time limit on them?
No, they don't have a time limit on them. You have, I mean, if you need the 24 hours to answer the question, then you have the 24 hours to answer the question.
Right, and most of the questions are simple enough that you could literally have your browser open to Google, and you could Google the question and pretty much come up with a solid answer right then and there within a matter of minutes. So I can't imagine how anybody couldn't take a few minutes to do these discussion questions. I know they're only 5 points each, but you figure 5 points a day, Monday through Saturday. Do they have them on Sunday? They do, don't they?
They do, except for the last Sunday because we don't have class anymore.
Yeah, so 7 times 4 is, I mean, almost 7 times 3 plus 6 is the number of credits that you get.
And anything over 4 days a week goes towards extra credit that you can't give out any other way.
Right. So I'm just saying these are 2 really easy areas where you can get points, and I'm always amazed at how many people don't really apply themselves properly. And this is something that's going to return through all of your courses. It's not something that you want to ignore. You're going to have it. The next mod, you're going to have the same thing happen. These discussions are going to happen. These daily checkpoints are going to happen. It's part of the curriculum. So again, get used to doing what you have to do it. And as I say to you, I work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday full time. I work 8:30 until 5:30. Okay, and I tell you what, I find time in my week to send emails to people, to go in and grade stuff, to go in and I know you've seen me come into your discussions and make comments. I guarantee you that at least 3 days a week, 4 days a week, I go in and make comments in your discussions. I find a way to do all of that. I prepare lessons. There are times when I find new material and new information to put into my lessons. So, I mean, I'm doing all this stuff on top of working. So it's doable. It's really doable. You find time here, you find time there.
I do the same thing. I freelance. I work from home. I raise 4 children all by myself. I still find time to do my work on time
Great.
and get every single one of my checkpoints in every day.
Great. Well, that's what you should do. And I just want to, again, make sure that everybody understands it is technically, you have until the end of the day, Saturday, to do a discussion. It cuts off at that point. But that just is the cutoff point. That is not the timing for submissions. The timing for submissions, I'll say this one more time, and hopefully this will be enough. The time for submission is by end of the day Wednesday, your main topic post. End of the day Wednesday. If you don't put it in by end of the day Wednesday, you start losing credit. You start losing points. You need to put in 2, not 1, 2. You can put in more if you like, but 2 replies to someone else's main topic. And you should do it on 2 different days. That's all you really need to do. And again, I'm always amazed at how many people don't do this. So that's why I'm bringing it up again. And I also, like I say, I've received a couple of emails from people complaining about the fact that they felt they got their assignment in by the end of the day Saturday, and why am I docking points? I just gave you the reason. It isn't that I'm trying to be unfair. There is a working rationale that you must follow. So please follow that rationale for me, and bear in mind that when you get into the next mod with another instructor, it's not going to be any different with them. It's going to be the same thing. They're going to be expecting the same thing. They're going to probably be grading you based on the same working criteria. So please understand. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to get you to do it the right way so that you can get the credit that you deserve. And again, it's easy credit. I mean, that's probably, out of all the things that you're going to do, one of the easier things that you're going to do in a week. Really,
and if you're unsure about the word content, if it tells you how many words you need in the syllabus, and I think in the discussion board post itself, if you go into Word right down there at the bottom, it gives you your word count.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. So that's why it's usually a good idea.
Clear.
Yeah, it's a good idea to do this in Word initially so that you can get that word count. Once you hit the target number, whatever. And sometimes I just want you to know, they don't always require a number limit. They don't always require that. Sometimes they do, and you must meet that. If they don't offer a requirement limit, then it's totally up to you how much you write. But the bottom line is...
The standard is about 150.
What?
I think the standard over the 4 mods I've had is 150.
Yeah, well, that's about reasonable. I would agree. I would agree that that's about reasonable. Yeah, and I mean, you should be able to write 150 words. See, here's the thing. The bottom line is most of these topics are so easy that you could easily take the topic title and do a Google search and come up with dozens of documents that will give you pretty much the information that you need to formulate your own idea of what to write on it. And then just, as I say, remember, you do need to do referencing and citation. It's absolutely essential that if you're going to do that, you reference the material. Let me and let your other instructors know where you got your information from, okay? Absolutely essential that you do that, okay?
Yep.
All right, so I think I said enough about this at this point. So I got great news for everybody. This is something that I find very exciting. I received an email today announcing,
we got the Lynda access.
Yeah, we have access to lynda.com. I don't know whether you guys have received this email yet. As you can see here, this is an email to me as the instructor. We now have lynda.com access for us and our students. Our students will be able to access Lynda via the course that have lynda.com OERs in them. You as a GA faculty can access it through here. Get yourself familiar with the portal and watch Lynda tutorials on using Lynda Campus. So here's the deal. The deal is I am pretty familiar with lynda.com. I've been a subscriber for several years. I've been paying.
It's a great resource.
Yep, I've been paying for it up to now. It's usually somewhere in the neighborhood for me about 190 bucks, 190 some bucks a year. So now, as long as I'm a teacher at this school and as long as they continue with Lynda, I no longer have to pay that. So what I'm going to do real quickly is, because I guess, Amanda, you haven't received the official notice yet?
I don't believe so, and I just checked my emails recently, both through Instructure and Gmail. So I don't think that I've received it yet.
All right, well, my guess would be that you will ultimately get an email, because they will want you to actually go in and access it yourself. And then
Right.
I, as your instructor, will probably be given some sort of an email that I will use to put into announcements for you as a backup, and then send you notice to that effect. But I would imagine that you would also get an email directly. I got my email. I'm an instructor. They probably are notifying us first, give us the opportunity to go in and get familiar with it. I am pretty familiar with it. But I do want to show you, I think this is pretty cool. I want to come in, and I want to show you how I go to it. So I'm going to click on this modules here, and it brings me into the course. Now this here, I'm not going to show you this, because this is where I got the information that I just showed you in that email.
Mm-hmm.
That's all this is. If I click on this, it opens me up to the page that gives me that information right there. So there's no need for me to go there. But here, look at this. Here's the lynda.com homepage. And I wanted to show you this because it's actually cool. So let me click on it. And load into a new, okay. It didn't do that last time. I'm on a different computer though last time I did it. Hi, William. Welcome to lynda.com. We're excited to help you achieve your learning goal. Okay? You see that? So here's the deal. They've already got it set up with lynda.com that each and every one of you, when you go in,
It already has your info.
Exactly. They already got your info. There's nothing that you're going to have to do. You are in, just like I am in, and now you can start taking advantage of lynda.com. So I really feel that this is tremendous, that it's great that they did this. You're going to find that this will, give me a second because I'm running out of battery here.
I was going to say that earlier.
Running out of battery. Let's see if I fixed it. Yeah, I did. Okay. Yeah, so this is a really great thing. I will tell you that
there is almost
lynda.com.
There's not much you can't find on Lynda.
What?
There's not much you can't find on Lynda.
No, it's very good. And I mean, it is the kind of thing you have to do a little bit of work. I mean, it's not something that you can just basically I mean, you have to do a little bit of work with it. You have to really go through the exercise of going through the courses and practicing some. But yeah, they are very complete, and they cover everything. I mean, just to give you an idea, let's go to the library. Look at all this. Look at all this. They got A to Z. You know, look, yeah, this stuff. It's just absolutely nuts. You can just go in here and learn all kinds of things. Look, creative insights, creative inspirations. I got 36 things on creative inspirations. Creative spark, creativity. I even got one thing on creativity. I can't imagine. Computer skills Mac, computer skills Windows. All kinds of stuff. I mean, it's just incredible. You can learn anything you want. It's all available to you. Obviously, all the Adobe programs. I don't know exactly where to find the Adobe programs now. Let's see if I can figure that one out. I mean, I can shortcut it by going to Adobe, A-D-O-B-E, and hit enter. Then there's Adobe. Here comes Adobe. So we got Adobe. Adobe tutorials. Look, software. We got Photoshop, After Effects, Illustrator, InDesign, Premiere Pro, Lightroom, Dreamweaver, and then of course Show More, which I'm not going to bother doing. Skill levels: beginner, intermediate, advanced, appropriate for all. I mean, can you imagine? This is all here for you. Subject, design, photography, video, web. Look at all this. It's just insane. And again, as long as you're in the school, this is yours. It's paid for. It's done deal. You should really take advantage of this. It's something that really will help you tremendously. So
it really is.
I'm really happy to be able to tell you that. I was excited when I got this today, and I thought, gee, this is perfect because it's right in time for my lecture tonight. I can bring it out and announce it in the lecture. So there you are. that's something that they mentioned to you that was going to happen, right?
Well, you mentioned it last week in the live session that it should be coming.
Yep. Yep. I did. They announced it to me. I had heard it. But again, I got the official email today, and the very first thing I did when I got that email was I went in and I checked it out, and I wanted to see what it was going to do so that when I came in tonight, I'd be kind of prepared for it. And I liked what I saw. Like I say, it opens up, it introduces you, you know, so it obviously recognizes you, and you're off to the races. So couldn't be better than that. All right, so that's it. Now, what I want to do before I do a little bit of the exercises tonight is I wanted to do a little bit of a critique, as I said I like to do. So I want to say that, Amanda, you sent me some artwork to look at, and you also were kind enough to let me use one of your screencasts for critiquing tonight, so I'm going to do that.
Okay. I
also do want to commend all of you students out there, and I don't know, Amanda, did you go in and check out any of the other students? Did you check out any of their screencasts? Or you?
Oh, I did, yeah, and some of them really good.
Yeah, so I was very pleased because the first time I taught this course, which was last mod or the mod before, I think it was last mod actually, I taught this course for the first time. They have me teach heavy Illustrator. I teach Illustrator heavy here, and I also teach heavy InDesign. But and this is the first time I've had a Photoshop class. This is the second time. Last time I did it. I only had one student last time who did a screencast. Everybody was terrified at the idea that they would have to do a screencast. I don't know why, but they were just scared. And one person did it, and I was very happy that they did it. This time, though, I would say probably close to half of you.
Half, yeah.
Yeah, and I really was impressed and excited, and I think some of you probably could tell that by the replies I sent back, because I think I was actually pretty swoony in them. Because it was just like so cool that all these people were doing screencasts and doing such a darn nice job of it, you know?
It really did.
Yeah, very impressive. You guys really you get I give you an awful lot of credit for your effort. And I'm not knocking anybody who didn't do it. If you went in and did a step-by-step, fine, and most of those step-by-steps were pretty good as well. But the ones that did the screencast, hooray to you, because your efforts were terrific. Unfortunately, nobody sent me anything that I could critique except you, Amanda, so I am going to play yours and take a look at it with the class tonight, and I'll give you what my feelings are about it
okay.
after we're done. So here we go. I'll do that first, then we'll go in and we'll take a look at your CAT assignment.
Can I preface this with my country twang really comes out when I try to explain something?
Yeah. Okay, no problem at all. Where are you from?
North Carolina.
Oh, what happened here? Let's see here. You're from North Carolina. Okay. Forbidden. Access denied. What, are you kidding me? What happened? Well, let's try it again. Don't tell me this is going to do this now. Whoa, I'm not going to be able to do it?
Hold on, I'll send it to you in the, let me minimize this for a second, and I'll send it to you in the chat box.
Chat, okay. We'll try it in that direction. Let's see what happens. Actually, you know what? Wait a minute. Let me try this. Wait, hold on. Let me try this. Where is this thing? You can do it. Send it in the chat, but let me try this thing. I'll close that. I'm done with it. Come on. Hey, what's the deal here? What's happening? Can you hear me, Amanda?
I can hear you.
Okay, I just wondered if something weird was beginning to take place here. Don't save. Okay, I see what it is now. Click on this, bring it up. Let's see. Let me go to Amanda here. Okay, let's get it up. Let me just try selecting this, copying it, and let's try pasting it in. Maybe that'll work. Control V, enter. There we go. I got it. That's the way to do it. All right, so here we go. This is Amanda. This is your screencast. I don't know. Can I view this, zoom this out? Go view, zoom out. Zoom. Let's see, I guess that shows the whole thing. No, wait a minute. Let me try it one more time. View, zoom out. There we go. Okay. Amanda's screencast. And this is, well, you know what, Amanda? It's your screencast. You set it up.
Okay. Now, I use the free Jing version, so basically, and I'll say this in the beginning of the video, it's basically a quick and dirty duplication of the cat eye.
Okay.
Because one of the main problems that we were talking about in the previous live session was that the cat only had one eye.
Right.
So I was showing someone how to duplicate an object and give the cat the second eye.
Great. Okay. So here we go.
Hey everyone, I'm going to touch on something I call duplication. You may run into this if you touch the cat file for this week, which most people probably will not. Or you may run into something similar down the line. Basically, what I'm going to do, one of the main problems with this photo, besides all the little white lines, is the fact that the cat only has one eye. So the first thing that I did was open the cat image. You can see it here in my background, and I have changed it to a PSD file. I'm going to go into my history here so you see where I opened it. First thing I do is duplicate my layer, and because there's a 5-minute timeline on this Jing thing, I'm going to have to give you a quick and the dirty without the full demonstration. So the first thing that I do is change the name of my secondary layer to touch up. I like to touch up and see what I'm doing while I'm doing it rather than continually turn on and off my background layer. So I like working it this way. The next thing I do, since I'm going to be duplicating the eye, is clean up the little blotchy white spots around the eye with the spot healing brush, which we saw during the video session for this week. So I've cleaned up several little spots around the eye. Next thing I did is grab my magnetic lasso tool. It's one of the tools that I use often. And created a selection around the cat's eye. Now it's not 100% perfect or clear, but it is good enough for the purposes of this tutorial. And the next thing I did is, we all basically know what a cat's eye is shaped like. I did want the brown fur around the eye to sort of be included in that shape, so I conformed the shape of the eye to include that. The next thing I did is hit Command J on my Mac, which would be Control J on a PC, and that creates a layer via copy. I think that is under Layer, New, and there it is right there, Layer via Copy. Alright, and what that is going to do is create a layer with that selection that I had in it. The next thing I did was duplicate that layer because I'm going to create on the other side another eye. And I go through and I name my layers so I know what's going on. So the first one you'll see down here is the right eye. And now it's going to be obviously the cat's left eye, but it's on my right side, and that makes sense to me. You name it how you want to and what makes sense to you. The second one's going to be the left eye. Now what I use is my free transform tool, which is Command T on my computer. If you're using a PC, it's going to be Control T. You can also find it under Edit, and that is going to be right here, free transform tool under Edit. Alright, so basically I have transformed it, and now I'm moving it around a little bit. I'm getting it into a position I think looks nice. We're going to zoom back out. And for this, I use the tool right here. If I think it needs to go in a little bit, then I do that. And I put it into a position where I think it looks good. And now, there you go. Our cat has 2 eyes, and I have saved for more editing if I choose. I may see where I can get with this. I don't know why that did that, but there we go. All right, that kept us under 5 minutes, so thank you very much.
Great job. That was very good. I mean, seriously.
Well, thank you.
No, very good. You did that extremely cleanly, very well. I think it was very clear. I got 3 technical things. First of all, when you actually made the selection of the eye, you have the ability to either do a little bit of feathering of the edge, or you could actually refine the edge a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up your CAD assignment, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. That's the first thing. That's a technical issue. As far as a presentation issue, one thing that I would have recommended that you might have done is when you went layer, new layer via copy, what you might have done is you might have taken a moment to hide the background layer to show the person or persons looking at your video who might not know what you were doing, what
Right.
layer via copy looked like. By hiding the background layer and just leaving that layer via, or the layer that you created with the eye on it showing, they would immediately see what you had just done. And that's the only thing in your entire presentation that I might have done differently. And guess what? I noticed it and I spotted it. But you know something? As an instructor, I do things like that all the time. After I get done, I think to myself, you know, you should have done this. But that's the only thing in your entire presentation that I might have added to what you did. Other than,
And I had a longer version where I did refine it and feather it a little bit.
Yep.
And then I got the warning that you only have 5 minutes to do it.
Right.
But then I thought I might go into another Adobe program and just add 2 of the 5-minute videos together.
Yeah.
But because I knew I was running late with my video.
Yeah, you didn't have to do that. And I'm just pointing it out to you because
Oh, no, I know.
yeah, it was the only thing that I spotted in the entire presentation that came up short in any way, shape, or form. And it's just a small detail. It's just basically, as a presenter, what you're trying to do is you're trying to make sure that it is kind of like idiot-proof. Anybody that looks at this is not going to have any
Right.
question.
And I did not think until you said it about hiding the other layers to show that the layer via copy did only show the eye.
Yep. And, you know, again, as I say, only reason I said it is because it occurred to me as I was watching it, because and I thought to myself, you know, there are probably some people don't really know what she's talking about.
Because you can't see it in that.
They don't know what it looks like. And then when you moved it, of course, when you moved it, it probably becomes clear. But if you had just hid the background layer for a second, that eye would have shown, and they would have gone, oh, I see what they did, what she did. She just made a copy of that. And that actually demonstrates, you know, part of the process that we're working with here.
Right.
And then the last thing that I noticed about this is that when you put the eye over there, and again, I noticed this is in your CAD assignment, what you might want to do is you might want to go into the edit menu and go to transform and go flip horizontally. So that what happens is the eye has that little light area going towards the inner part of the eye, which then would make the 2 eyes look like they're oriented correctly. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I think that I might have done that. I did try to flip horizontally, but then the eye appeared differently, and the lighting in the eye was going both. It was going in different directions. That highlight.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason that I went back from the flip horizontally.
Okay. Those are the only 3 things that I pointed out. Two of them,
But it did
I think,
try it.
two of them were more technical issues, which I don't think related to your video very well, or didn't relate to your video at all. In other words, I'm just spotting things that I would creatively say about your assignment more than your
Right.
video. Your video, I thought, was pretty much spot on. The only area would be, if anything, to just at 1 second, take 1 second to hide
To
the
hide that layer.
Yeah, so that the
Mhm.
person could see that you just created an eyeball. That would be the only thing that I would say that you would have to do to improve your video. Other than that, it was a very good effort.
Okay. And I will take those notes, and thank you very much.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Have you had other courses where they've been asking you to do these Jing free screencast type of deals before?
No, I didn't. I've never actually used Jing before, and the only reason that I did is because I got rid of my, oh gosh, and I've even forgotten the name. It's right on the tip of my tongue. I used to have the Camtasia. Is that it?
Yeah, Camtasia, I have it.
Okay, that's the software that I used to have.
Right.
And I used to do a lot of video screencasts, but I've been out of doing that for so long. I'm out of practice, and I got rid of the software rather than paying for it.
Yeah.
So it's not something that I've done in a while, which is also why you'll hear me say about 50 times during that 5 minutes.
Did you have to pay? Did you have to pay for Jing? You got a free version?
Yeah, I just downloaded the free version for this.
Was it like a 30-day trial?
No, it's just the free version, and that's why it has that 5-minute time limit on it.
Okay, so there's another version of Jing that you could purchase that would give you more comprehensive abilities.
Probably so, and I just went with the free option.
Okay, perfect. Well, again, thank you. You did a terrific job with this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move into your CAD assignment. Okay, bring up your CAD assignment. So here's the CAD assignment, and I know from our conversation that you were telling me that you have these windows that you basically worked on. There's your windows, and you were preparing to actually go in and put something in those windows.
Yeah, because it was such an ugly backdrop.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's no problem at all. As a matter of fact, that's a very common thing for us to do. If you remember correctly, last week I showed you some projects that I was working on where I actually was artificially putting in floors into projects. It's the same basic premise. What you're doing here is the same basic premise. So, you know, okay, but here's the one thing that I wanted to point out with this. Here's your eyes. Here's your left eye. Okay, now I don't know what you got a right eye. Is there a right eye? Let me just see here. Is there a right eye? Oh, there is a right eye. You don't really need a right eye because the right eye's there. Why did you bother with the right eye? Because
I don't know.
I mean, it's no big deal.
I think I was going to go. I was going to go back in and sort of work with the eyes. It was a matter of running out of time.
It's fine. I'm just asking a question. It's not a problem.
Consider this a completed project.
Yeah. Well, again, what you did here was, with the exception of a little more cleanup that could have been happening in here.
Yes.
Okay? And a little bit of this.
I've already gotten rid of that little white line.
Yeah. Just a little more cleanup. This would have been a much better job, but it was more than enough that I was able to give you the grade that you needed here. So what I wanted to do, though, with this is I did two little very minor critiques, and more it's just since you sent me, or nice enough to send me the Photoshop document, I can open it in Photoshop. I can actually demonstrate two things that I think will really help this. First of all, this eye right here, what I think we should do with this eye is go up to the Edit menu and go Transform and go Flip Horizontally.
Right.
Yeah, that flipped it horizontally. Now, it is a little bit awkward the way that this thing is positioned. So what we would then do with this is go Edit Transform or Edit Free Transform.
Right.
And then I would probably want to zoom in a little bit on this first, actually, and go Edit Free Transform. And then we would come in here, and you see, I mean, you can drag this way, which I don't want to do. or you can drag it, you know, vertically, which we don't want to do, or we can do this, where we can kind of just like take it and we can kind of rotate it around. And what I would do is I would just rotate it around until it looks to me like it's kind of sort of working in conjunction with the other eye over here. And I would say maybe that might be close enough, and you might want to move it down just a tiny little bit, maybe in that neighborhood there. Okay, and then this way, when we come back in and click on that and hit apply, we now have our eyes, and if you go view, fit, artboard, and window, or fit on screen, come back a little bit, you can kind of get the idea that now it looks, I think, pretty much believable. I mean, there are highlights. The highlight's probably in the wrong place. I mean, it would be very easy to get that highlight and move that highlight. I would wash it away using that color, and I would just then generate a new one and place it over there. But still in all, I mean, it does now look like eyes, and they do look like they're oriented pretty well. So that's the first thing that I would do. The second thing is, let me hide this stuff beneath that eye, and you can see the hard edge of the eye. Okay? And if you bring this back, let's bring this stuff back. I don't know the shutters too. I think you can kind of get a feeling that you're almost seeing that hard edge in there. So that's why when you go to your touch-up layer and you do this again, and I think you said you use the polygon lasso, I mean the lasso tool, or the mat. What should you use?
I think I used I use the magnetic lasso tool, I think.
I never use anything but the polygon lasso. I always, whenever I work on anything, I use the polygon lasso. And what I do is I just come in here and I just kind of start pecking off the areas that I want to grab. Okay, and I make sure that I grab a nice healthy area. I don't want to go too close to the eye, so I grab a nice healthy area like that.
Right.
Okay, so now I have, this is my touch-up layer, and this is my selected area. And I can do one of two things. I can go to the select menu, and I can go to refine edge. And what I can do now is I can come in here, and I can do things like I can adjust the edge by shifting it in if I want. I can feather the edge, okay, which I think is probably too extreme. That's not too bad. Right about there, or I can remove it. If I have to, I can smooth the edge. You see what I'm saying? There's a number of ways to do this. I'm going to hit cancel because there's another way to do it. I can also go to the select menu, and I can go modify, and I can go feather. And I can select a feather radius of anywhere from 1 to whatever number I want to put in. If I put in too many numbers, let me put in like 25. And you can see what happens.
Oh, that's way too much.
Okay, absolutely. See, that's way too much. Let's go edit, undo, feather. And let's come in and let's go select, modify, feather. And let's feather it to say maybe 4. And hit OK. There. And now what I go up to is layer, new, layer via copy. And now if I hide that, whoops, let me hide both of them. There, you see the difference between yours and mine? That's nicely blended into the background area. I didn't really lose any of the detail stuff, or very little for that matter. If I wanted to, I could undo this and go back and make my selection a little bit bigger, or I could feather it a slightly bit less. Remember, you have the window menu, and you can come over here and go to history. This is what you were using to do your presentation. And what happened here? Let's go to history. There. I can go back to feather, and I can go to polygon lasso. If I wanted to, I can go to the select menu, and I can go modify, and I can go expand. And I can expand by 5 pixels, and then hit OK. And can you see how my ring of selection grew?
Yeah.
Okay, so now that I've grown this, and I've also got the expand in here that I can go back and undo it, right? I can now go into the select menu, and I can go modify, and I can go feather and 4 and hit OK. And now, see, I've got the feather in there. And now I can go layer, new, layer via copy. And if I come back in here and take a look at this, I should have a much greater, see, I got a slightly greater area, and I
Right.
got detail in the eye. But you see how I get this nice step off?
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a nice step off, a nice blend. I'm blending it into the background. So what I want you all to remember is very important, that there are just several very simple techniques that when you're making these selections, you can use to make things much better. And those are a couple of things right there. Any questions?
Nope. And I think I'm the only one in here.
Okay. You're good with it?
I'm good.
Okay, great. And save changes, no. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to come in here and we'll take a look at Brittany's piece. Here's Brittany's piece. Brittany actually did a fairly good job with this.
I like that, and I like that she left the lip ring in.
Yeah, she left the
Go,
lip ring.
Brittany.
Yeah, she might have over softened it just a touch. I think maybe I would say I don't know, 10% less of the skin tone. And again, she did not send me a Photoshop file, so I can't really go into a great deal of detail on this. I can't really examine what she did.
Can you zoom it up a little bit, or zoom it out a little bit so I can see more detail?
I don't even know how to do that here.
Is it the plus sign down at the bottom?
Yeah, the plus sign. There you go. So when it comes in, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it over zooms very quickly, and that's why you're beginning to see a lot of this stuff. Okay, so she probably could have hid this hair a little bit better.
Okay.
Probably could have hid this area of hair a little bit better. She might have cleaned this a little tiny bit more. Other than that, though, maybe there's still a little bit of smoothing she could have done around here. Generally, though, I'd say she did a pretty good job with the whole thing. It looks actually pretty good in general. But again, maybe I'm not sure. As I say, I'm not sure how she did it. She might want to use a. If you go into here, you can use the brightness and contrast, or I think brightness.
Who's the wrinkly old man in the teacup?
Yeah, I'm going to do that in a minute.
Okay. If you want, you can look at my girl as well.
Do you have a girl that's? Do you have the PDF? Or the PSD?
Yeah, I turned in the girl PSD, and it won't have my name on it, but it'll be under my file.
All right, hold on. Let me just quickly go to courses. Courses. Come on. Okay, here.
I went a little bit more dramatic with the eyes. I
Okay, I don't mind.
did a little with her hair and the flaring out of her hair.
Where you at? There you are. Okay, Amanda Moon. Okay, let me slide over here. You are in Retouching Photos, Amanda Moon. There we go. Click on that. Assignment Harley, PSD.
Yep.
Here we go. Hit OK. There you are. There you have her. Okay, so yeah, so what you got basically here is you got a hue saturation layer. I hit it, and that's what's hitting your lips. That's what's making those lips lighter, so that would be without it. Okay, yeah, this is much nicer with the hue saturation. And then you got hue saturation for the eyes. Went a little bit wild on the blue eyes, but
I like the dark hair and like brilliant blue eye combination. Have you ever seen the movie Underworld?
Yeah.
With Kate Beckinsale?
Yeah.
That's the kind of, I like that look.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you missed, I'm not sure. Let me see something here. No, you didn't miss it. You didn't miss it, but you probably could have worked a little bit in this area here, faded a little bit of this, because I think it's a little harsh in that area. You see when you knock it off, you see how that, well, it's not that bad. It's just, for some reason, my eye gets drawn over there. I don't know why it is. Let me see something else. See, I see this hair down here. You probably could have gotten rid of that hair as well. See?
Yeah, I'm
Doesn't
seeing that now.
Yeah, you know, just a couple of little subtle things, but generally speaking, this isn't bad at all. Yeah, you got rid of a good bit. You got a good bit of this stuff around her eye
And
gone.
I cleared up her makeup. It just, I don't like the look of smeared makeup. It bugs the crap out of me. And I got rid of what looked like some gray hair.
Uh, yeah, I would say generally this looks pretty good. You did a pretty good job with this. I don't really have any problems with it. You know, I don't know, zoom in on it. The problem is when you zoom in on this, I don't think this is incredibly high resolution. But she has a lot of bumps and weirdness to her skin, actually. You know, if you remove all this, and it might be just that the makeup is accentuating a lot of this stuff. You know what I mean? She might be overly made up, is what it might be. But yeah, this isn't too bad. Not too bad what you did. Did you find it difficult?
No, this one was the simplest of the three, honestly.
I see it added a little bit of a gradient back there. That one.
Yeah, because I hid the main image and just created that gradient
Yeah.
So that I could hide the flares that
Right.
were coming out of her hair.
Right.
The easiest way for me to do that is to create the layer masks.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, it's fairly believable. I guess that's the key. It's fairly believable. You got this thing. She's not perfect. She's not a model. So you're not looking for perfection. What you're looking for is you're looking for an improvement on the original, which is that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's an awful lot of stuff that's happening on the skin that kind of focuses your attention to it, and you want to try to get rid of all that stuff, which you pretty successfully did. I mean, that's not bad. That really is quite an improvement. Go back one more time here. Yeah, I think you did it. I think you did it all right here. This thing here, I don't know what would happen if you went in and did a brightness and contrast on it. Let's see if you could, what happens if you get a brightness and actually, oh, you know what, when you got to remember, I always forget to do this. When you come in and put a brightness and contrast on, I'm on a PC.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on a Mac, you do it this slightly different. But here on a PC, what I'm doing is I'm going between the skin layer, which is what I want to focus on, and this brightness and contrast layer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hitting the Alt key. And you see what it does?
Which would be my Option key, yeah.
Yeah. But when I do that, you see how it changes? What it's saying is I'm going to attach myself to this.
It links it.
Right. It links it to that layer. And now whatever I do to this, watch this, I'll go extreme. It's only applying
to the layer below it. Yeah.
See what I mean? And this is not where I would go. I think actually it doesn't look bad.
No, it doesn't.
But I think it's a little
cool.
overdone. I think it's probably just a little bit over. That's probably a little bit better right there. Okay? But again, what you're doing is you're killing a little bit of that hot light that's hitting her and making her look a little bit more real. And again, you have to play with this a little bit. I don't know whether I got it exactly where I want it to be, but you know, you just tweak it until you get it to where you want it to go.
Right.
You know, and if you wanted to, you could even go in there and you could carve out. I'm assuming you got the eyes in there. You do. You could go in there literally and carve out those eyes, so that the eyes then would come back burning bright and white.
Right.
So, but that's it. And I mean, that would be the only thing that I would do to it, is maybe do something like that, just to cool that hot light a little bit and give her a little bit more of a nice mood, because that, I think, now gives it a nice mood.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's it.
Because that is a lot of light hitting her face in
There
the
is a
original.
lot of light hitting there. Yeah, I mean, it really is hot, and it blows out a great deal of detail when you.
And her,
brightness and
especially
contrast
around
down.
the bridge of her nose and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it brings in a lot of this detail, comes back suddenly.
Mm-hmm.
More detail starts coming back that you lose when you don't modify the brightness and contrast a little bit. So.
Right. Yeah, I like that.
Would do. So good, but excellent. That's thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now to my stuff. Put it on screen. Okay, now here's the thing. The real assignment here, is for you guys to, I guess, get a cat or an animal, actually a cat, an animal, some kind of a scene, and some kind of objects, and modify them together. Isn't that about what the assignment is?
Or for this week?
Yeah.
I hadn't got a chance to look yet.
Yeah, well, if you want, we can take a second look at it. I mean, I think
Okay.
I've got the course in here. So let's go back in here and let's go to courses again. Come on. And click on that. Come on, baby. And let's go to assignments. Right.
It always works better when you call the computer baby, right?
That's right. Either that or it gets really mad at you and shuts down. Huh.
Oh, mine only shuts down when I start screaming at it.
Selection tools. Okay, so basically, we're dealing with selection tools here. So let's see what it says here. Okay, here you go. Now using the free stock imagery at www.sxc.hu. Oh, by the way, have you gone to sxc.hu yet?
I'm not sure if I've visited that site.
I haven't myself, so I'm not exactly sure what.
Is that Holland?
I don't. I'm assuming that maybe this is a stock imagery site that the school has worked out some kind of a deal with, so that you could get some images. I guess that's what it is. Make sure you download the large, high-res files, no thumbnail or preview images.
Exactly.
So yeah, so my guess would be if that's the case, then it's either free, and you could just download anything you want, or they have some kind of an arrangement. They do say free, but that might mean that it's free because they have an arrangement. I don't know. And again, I haven't gone to it. So what they're saying to do is find yourself a photo of an animal, a photo of a hat, a crown, or a headpiece, I'm sorry. Photo of a prop, for example, a briefcase, a drinking glass, pencil, something animal can interact with, and a background. And then compose those 4 images together in a clever way using the selections and masking techniques. So essentially, that's what we're dealing with here.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, forget about the content. We're dealing with masking and selecting and the creation of layers and things like that. This is probably one of the most important things that you're going to be doing in Photoshop. You're going to find that this is central to what you do here. I've been working for 2.5 weeks on doing these floors. And my boss is getting upset with me because it's taking longer than he wants to spend on it. But
well, they're not designers. They don't really understand the time that it takes to go into that.
That is exactly what the problem is. He has no comprehension for time. He thinks that I'm Mr. Wizard. I can turn my little Harry Potter stick and boom, it's done. And you try to show him, you try to tell him, and he only half wants to hear it. So. Yeah. So what I did was I came in here and I grabbed 3 things. Let me actually start with I
like the wrinkly old man face.
Let me start with my dove first, though. So here's one of the things that I wanted to show you. This is basically my trying to think of what his name is, Salvador Dali. This is my Salvador Dali dove, and what I'm trying to show you with this is some of the things that you can do with Adobe Photoshop to create very interesting images and to do it very quickly. This is kind of central to what you do here. So let me find my dove start, and you'll see I got basically 2 shapes. I have the dove shape. How I got that dove shape is that dove shape essentially was a piece of clip art, or actually I think it might have been.
It's got to have been a vector.
It might have been a vector, but maybe not. It might have been actually a picture of a dove. I don't remember exactly. But what I did was I created a silhouette of it, and I turned it into basically a it's a bitmap. It's still a bitmap. Oh. And then of course the other thing I have here is this circle. This circle is a bitmap. Okay. So the bottom line is what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up creating this. And what this is essentially, it's a series of layers which do this. Here's a sky layer, okay, and the sky layer has been associated to this dove vector graphic. In other words, instead of having the sky in the background, I put the sky in the dove, and then I've created this artificial sky by using different layers and different techniques. So that's essentially how I handled one of my projects. And I'm going to show you what I did to do this so that, you know, you learn a little bit about how I would do it. So the first thing that I would do with this is I would come in here, and since this is a vector shape, I would just come in and I would grab my quick selection tool. I got to first select that and click on the quick selection tool. And because this is a black object, and the tremendous power of the quick selection tool is that it looks for edges. So the better the contrast that you have on the edges of your object, the better. So you could see I'm going to deselect this so I could show you this again, that when you have a situation like this, you just click and boom, it goes right out, finds the edges, selects the whole darn thing. It's absolutely amazing.
Because there's no better contrast between black and white.
Contrast. Yeah, there's complete contrast. So there's no trouble when you have something like this to grab it. If you're working with something that has less contrast on the edges, you're going to work a little harder. But something like this, it's real easy. Then my intention is I'm going to turn this into a glowing sun. So I want to start taking this selection. I can hide this now, and I can come in here and I can create a new layer. And I'm going to call that the sun layer, S-U-N. So right away, I'm working with selections. I'm creating a layer. I got this beautiful hard edge selection going. I don't want it to be hard edge. I want it to start breaking down and becoming soft. So I can come up into select, and I can go to modify, and I can go to feather. And I think I probably want to try around 20. I'll feather this to 20 and hit OK. And then what I'm going to do is come in here and grab my colors, and I'm going to find myself a yellow that I want. I don't have anything too specific in mind. I'm just going to grab a yellow. Let's maybe make it a little bit more yellow instead of not so orange. That's probably good. Hit OK. And then with my paint bucket tool right here, I'm going to come in and, oh, I'm sorry, I got to select the sun layer. Then I'm going to come in, I'm going to dump that in there. And already, I'll go select, deselect. Already, I've got something that's very close to what I'm looking for. If it wasn't so close, what I could do with that layer selected is go up to the select menu, and I could go, let's go, hold on, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, filter, that's what I want. Filter, blur, and I could go Gaussian blur. And I could come in here now, and I could take my Gaussian blur, and I could drag it way over. And you see what I can do? Way too much, but you get the general idea what a Gaussian blur does. It kind of continues the process of blurring your object. You can blur it until you get what you want. I'm going to just put a little bit of blur on it so that you can see that I've done this. So select, modify, feather is one way to take a hard edge, turn it soft. And you can put any number that you want into it. If I didn't go in and do this, and you know, let's go back to history. Go to Window for a second and go to History. And let's go back to Paint Bucket. Okay, and actually, I'm sorry. Let's go back to Feather. And now let's go back to Name Change. There we go. So we have Sun. Now if I dump that in there, do you see I got a hard edge? Because I didn't feather it. I didn't feather it, right? Okay, select, deselect. So if I don't feather it, I can go into the filter, and I can go blur, and I can go Gaussian blur, and now I can do the same thing where I can come in here and I can start blurring that out, and eventually I'll get something that's pretty much the same as what I was doing. There you go. Okay, so you see I can end up in the same place by doing two slightly different operations. Both of them.
Feather sort of leaves you with the bigger circle that's filled than the Gaussian blur, right?
It does. It actually does. So generally what I would do to limit that is I would go in and I would usually make my selection. I would do it the way I did it in the first place.
Right.
Would go in and I would go make my selection, and I would go in and I would feather the edge of my selection first. And then I would put my color in, and then if I wanted it to feather out a little bit more or blur it out more, I would then go in and I would use the Gaussian blur to blur it only slightly.
Right.
But you're absolutely right. If you push Gaussian blur to an extreme,
you're going to end up with a little bitty circle and a lot of blur.
Well, yeah, but what'll end up happening is you'll also hit edges. There's somewhere in there you're going to find it hits edges.
Yeah.
You're going to suddenly see like a rectangular shape where it's hitting the edge of the boundary of that object. So that's why you want to limit what you do with that. So that's basically how I get the sun going here. Now I'll create a new layer here, and I'm going to call this Sky 1. SKY_1. So Sky 1. And again, you can name these any way you want. I'm just naming them this way because it's easy. Sky 1. I'm going to come in here and grab a color. And this time it's going to be some kind of a sky color. I want it to be fairly light like that. That's probably pretty good like there. Maybe make it a little bit lighter. Hit OK. And on Sky 1, I'm just going to get the bucket tool, and I'm going to dump Sky 1 in. Now the problem is Sky 1 is in front of the sun. So what I'll then do is take the sun and move the sun up. And now I have the sun in front of Sky 1. So there's the first part of my sky. I'll create a new layer. And this time I'm going to call this Sky 2. SKY_2. Remember now, you know, I'm doing things, I'm really doing very simple things, but I'm doing very central things. The things that I'm doing are very central to setting up a creative document like this. Like I say, I do these things all the time when I do the pictures of the rugs that I was showing you. So now I got Sky 2. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in, grab this color, and now I'm going to try to create a darker version of a sky. And that's probably good right there. Hit OK. And on Sky 2, select the layer, come in here, and I'm going to dump that blue into Sky 1. So now I have a dark sky in front of a white sky. So what I want to do is I want to make these two interact. The easiest way to do that is to select Sky 2 layer, and then come down here and click on this, which is an Add a Layer Mask. So I click on Add a Layer Mask, and now I have a layer mask on my Sky 2 layer. I'm going to come over here, and behind the Paint Bucket tool is the Gradient tool. And you'll notice that when I open this up, I get the black and white gradient. The reason I get the black and white gradient is because 99 9/10% of the time, it's probably the only gradient I use. I don't use gradients in my artwork nearly as much as I use gradients for doing masking techniques. And what I'm doing here is a masking technique. That's essentially what this is. So that's why you'll see I have my black and white selected. There it is. There's 3 of them. In this particular case, I think maybe foreground to background. I don't know, black to white. Let's try black to white this time to see what happens. I think if I click here and if I hold the shift key down and drag this up a little bit, that's exactly what I wanted. Okay?
Right, because you're on the reveal all, so it'll start with the black and run up to the white.
Well, what it's doing essentially is, you see the layer mask right there?
Which is a reveal all layer mask.
Yeah, white reveals, black conceals.
So if you start with the black to white gradient,
yeah, watch this. I'm going to hit it here, and I'm going to shift and go up.
You're hiding to revealing.
I'm hiding a lot of it. So, so that's what I'm doing. Black, black conceals.
Yeah.
White reveals. So now what I've done is I've essentially created a situation where I got a nice blended sky with this hot spot in front of it. Okay?
Yep.
So now I select my dove, and as I was explaining to you, my dove essentially is a graphic shape. Let me move this dove down a little bit. So I got this graphic shape. Now somewhere, I don't know whether I actually have this. I may end up having a problem here. Let me go to my dove start. my dove end, because I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to select this layer. Let me do this, and let's unlink that. There we go. And then I'm going to select this whole thing, and let's go edit, copy, and let's go back to my dove start, and let's go click here, and let's go edit, paste. There, paste in place. Okay, so now I have my dove and I have my sky. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, now what I want to do with this is I want to take that sky and I want to use that as a masking element. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on this guy and click, and you see what it did?
Yes.
It automatically used that graphic shape as the mask. And now that thing is being masked by that graphic shape. So now I've kind of done this, again, as I say, I've done this kind of,
Basically, it creates a clipping mask.
Yeah, it creates a clipping mask, and I've given this kind of a reversed kind of look, whereas instead of the sky's in the dove. Now,
Right.
What's nice about this is you can click on the dove and you come in here and you can apply an effect to it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a bevel and emboss to it. And if you come over here, you can see my bevel and emboss is already beginning to take shape. And I'm going to use inner bevel, and I'm going to bring the depth up a little bit. Let's bring the depth up some. And I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to bring the size up a little bit as well. Bring the size up and soften it. Bring it in and soften it. And then hit OK. And there you have it. You've got this sort of three-dimensional dove that is masking the sky, and he's sort of floating around in this blue sky in front of the sun. So there's some of the techniques that I use all the time. These are things I use constantly. And I think that they are probably some of the most common things. That's why I chose to pick on them, because they're so common. You know all these, Amanda?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay. So that's that one. Now you want to go and see my little strong guy here? So here's the deal with this guy. What I did was, here's Pops. Let me hide all this stuff. Here, this was the original. It's the cup.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Pops, and Pops is basically pasted into a clipping mask. And this is Pops. Here's Pops right here. Let me bring Pops forward. There's Pops. That's the original picture of Pops. So what I do essentially with this is, again, very simple. If you take a look at Pops, with the exception of in this area right here, it gets a little bit soft in this area here, so I may run into a problem with that.
Right.
But if you take a look, he's against a white background up in here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he's nicely contrasted. Now, there are tricks that you can use. Like, for instance, if I take Pops, and if I come up here, and if I click on brightness and contrast, okay, and bring this over here, and if I come over here, and if I click on brightness and contrast and attach it to that Pops layer, I can come over here and I can play with the brightness. See what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
I'm darkening Pops. By darkening Pops, it's going to make Pops easier for me to grab. Let's see if I can.
Yeah, you're bringing that shadow in under his chin, and that's going to make it easier to grab.
That's what I'm trying to do. It's exactly what I'm trying to do. I might have overdone it a little bit at the top. That's probably good enough right there. All right, so, and the nice thing about this is, just so that you know, this guy here, I can throw it away. So he's not damaged. After I'm all done getting Pops selected, I can just drag that into the garbage and he's gone. All right, so what I'm going to do now is, again, going to grab this quick selection tool, and I'm going to come in on Pops, make sure I'm on the Pops layer, not on the brightness and contrast layer. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to select Pops face. See if I can get Pops.
Oh, you got him pretty good.
Yeah, it actually did a very nice job. I want more. The reason I want more down here is because in the end, I'm going to silhouette him into the cup. And I want his jaw to be able to disappear down into that. Okay.
Right.
So I'm actually looking for a little more here. And I might even work on this a little bit to make sure I get everything I want on pops, which I think I got. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the select menu, and I'm going to go to refine edge, and there's pops. So I don't know whether smart radius is going to be a smart move here, but let me just try it and see if it does. It's actually giving me some color I don't like, but that might go away. That might go away when I get rid of this. So what I did was I clicked smart radius, and I just ran around the edge to try to get some more of his. I'm trying to get a little bit of the fuzzies around his head. That's what I'm trying to do, make it a little more believable. Okay, I see I got a little bit too much going on in here. I'll have to clean that up. So ultimately, I'm going to hit OK on this, and there's Pops, and something's happening with his ear.
Oh, you lost part of him.
Part of his ear and part of that. Yeah, there we go. Let me clean that back up. Yeah, that's pretty good right there. That's probably pretty good. All right, and now I'm just going, I could create a layer mask if I want on this, but I'm just going to go layer new, layer by a copy so you can really see this. There's Pops. Now if I hide this, and if I hide all this other stuff, let me hide all this other stuff, and you can see what Pops look like. There's Pops. And remember what I told you, the brightness and contrast? I can take that, throw it in the garbage can because I'm done with it. You see how I lost a little bit of Pops in his jaw here?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would have to go in, and I'd have to bring Pops back, and I'd have to select that area of the face again, and I could just easily go layer, new, layer by a copy, and then I could just hide that layer, and there's Pops. I still missed a little bit of it, so I'd probably come back in here and do it again, grab a little bit more of that, and then...
Oh, you got him now.
I got plenty. And make sure I'm on the right layer. Layer, new, layer by a copy. And now I've got Pops, I think. Yeah, there he is. Now those 3 layers right there, if I select all 3 of those layers, I can go to the layer menu and I can go merge layers.
Yeah.
And now I've got Pops, Silo, and I'm just going to call him Pops. And there you go. So now I have Pops. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cup, hide Pops, and I need to make a selection here so that I can create a paste-in situation, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to use my elliptical tool. And I just came over and I started to create a shape. I'm going to try to create a shape that's similar to the shape of that rim, right about there. And if I am on my tool, see how I'm on the elliptical marking? Now that I got the shape going, I can use the arrow keys and I can move that selection right like that.
Right.
Okay. And then what I can do is, if you take a look at the original, let me go back and take a look at Pops. You see what Pops is doing? He's actually fitting perfectly along that edge. So now what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to add to this selection. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'll hide this again, and I'll come in here, and this time I'm going to get the regular the polygon lasso tool. And if I hold down the shift key, I can now add to this selection. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to create a nice big area like this, nice and big, a lot of room, because it's not going to get in my way. It's not going to hurt me. I'm just making it easier for me to get Pops in there. Click on that, and now I've got a selection there. So I got a nice big selection. Okay. And then I'm going to take Pops. Oh, and I'm going to go select, save selection. Save selection.
Right.
Okay. And I'm going to call this paste. Okay.
Okay.
Hit OK. I'll go select, deselect. Then I'll come in here and I'll grab Pops. You bring Pops back. What I probably want to do is I want to position Pops about where I want them to be, which would be somewhere in that neighborhood right about there. And maybe what I want to do is I want to go edit free transform. All right. And I'm going to transform Pops down a little bit. Bring the shift key down and bring them down until I get them about the size that I want, which would be in that neighborhood right about there. It might be a little bit big still, but, you know, let's drag them a little bit smaller. I don't want them to be too small. I think that's too small now.
I think so too.
Probably like that's good. Move them over about like that, somewhere in there. Bring them up just a bit, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to click on them, hold the control key down. Oh, first of all, I have to apply the transformation. I think that's probably a pretty good size. What I might do is I might move them up just a bit so I get more of his chin. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to control click or command click that. And you see how I've got him? All right, I'm going to go edit cut. And then I'm going to come and I'm going to go, let's create a new layer. I think I've got to create a new layer for this probably. And I'm going to select that layer and I'm going to go select, load selection, and I'm going to load paste and hit OK. And I'm going to go edit paste into, special paste, paste into. Boom, there he is. Now watch this. When I drag him down, he's going to disappear into his little cup. There you go. And there you have, let's see, there's a layer showing here. That's the problem right there. Yeah, if I move them up just a little bit, actually I think I've got to move that paste layer up just a touch. Get that to look right. Whoops, it's not moving up. That's why. There we go. Now we'll go up, I think. There we go. Yeah, that's it. That's what I want. There. There. So there's Pop. Now he's in his little glass. And if I click on that layer, just that layer, I can move that layer over just a tiny bit. There he is. That's how I did it. What do you think? Was that hard?
Nope.
No. And again, I think you can see basically what you have here is a mask. So a lot of this really comes down to knowing how to take objects and select objects and mask objects. That's what this whole thing really comes down to. Then the other thing that you could do is you got this nice coffee color down here, right? So maybe what you want to do is maybe you want to make Pop's face look a little bit more like coffee. So what you might consider doing is select the layer, go into the effects, and go color overlay. And then bring the color overlay up. And I'm afraid I'm losing a little of his ear here. You're going to click on this, and then you're going to come over here, and you're going to sample that nice brown and hit OK. And then what you're going to do is you're going to come in and go color, or let's try hue. I think probably, let's try saturation. Yeah, saturation is good. And then maybe we're going to start bringing it down a little bit so that he kind of has that. Let's try a couple of other blend modes. I don't know which blend mode. How about overlay? There we go. That's what I like.
Yeah.
He looks like he's bathed in coffee. We're just going to take this. It's overlay is what I finally used. But you can use many different blend modes for these kind of things. And then I'm just going to simply bring it down until I get the color I want. You see?
Yeah.
So if you take it all the way off, that's what he looks like. He doesn't look like he's in a coffee cup very much.
No.
By doing this, you bring his color up a little bit, bring it up to the extreme, and now he sort of looks like he's coming out of a coffee cup. Hit OK. Okay? So there you go. There's my coffee grandpa coming out of the cup asking for a big smooch. So again, I'm doing this. I think this is a lot of fun. I think this is probably a very fun assignment for you guys if you use your imagination. I have no objection to you doing something like what I'm doing here. You don't have to do exactly what they tell you. I'm a very flexible person. You probably don't know that because you never had me before as an instructor. I'm more concerned about two things than I am about the actual physical assignment itself. I'm more concerned with, are you using the program? Are you doing things in the program that's going to help you learn the program and get you somewhere? And are you using your creativity? So if your creativity sends you in a direction more like this, I'm going to get a chuckle out of it, and I'm going to say, oh, this is great. And you're not going to get a bad grade from me. I mean, if I don't see an animal in your crazy contraption that you're making, I don't think I'll have a problem with that. What I do really hope that you'll start doing is sending me the PDF file. I'm sorry, the PSD files because I think it's important for me to be able to take a look at your work, just like you're seeing my work. I'm showing you here what I did. There's the layers for what I did. So I really think that, you know, it helps me if I actually get a chance to see what you're doing. So try to start sending me PSD files. I'm going to show you at the end of the class, before we're done, what the PSD file is all about. And I'm going to also save something as a JPEG because I think it's important that you know how to do it. And I have run into a problem with some of your submissions. Some of your submissions have been problematic. I haven't been able to open them. And I will be here tomorrow night from 5 to 7 p.m. Mountain Time. You can come in just as if you were coming into a live session. If you need help with anything, come in and I will help you. Wednesday night, I'm in Blackboard Collaborate from 7 o'clock until 11 o'clock Mountain Time. And on Saturday, I'm in from 7 o'clock until 12 o'clock Mountain Time. So please feel free to come in if you need any help. That's what I'm there for. And I'll be more than happy to help you. So there's a little stronger, my old man. Now we got my dick here, my police officer.
I was wondering why that said
yeah,
that.
Right. I thought about that. I thought, you know. So anyway, this is my police officer, and this is another one that's really simple. It was just a picture I found, and I thought, what could I do with this picture? And then I found the picture of.
Oh my God, that almost looks like Mr. Bean.
Yeah, it does sort of look like Mr. Bean. And combination of Mr. Bean, Inspector Clouseau, and what was that other guy's name? Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, I love Inspector Gadget too.
They're all kind of rolled into one with this guy. So I thought what I would do is I would put a pig's head on him and then, you know, put the collar in front of him. So now he looks sort of like, see, there's the collar.
Mm-hmm.
There's the collar, and then there's the pig's head. That's actually.
Is that a piggy bank?
Yeah, it's actually, well, I don't know. It's actually some sort of a piggy object. I think I have it, so let me open it and I'll find it.
That's got to be a piggy bank. I swear I see the slit on top.
That I don't know for sure. Let me pig, here we go. This is the pig. It is a piggy bank. That's exactly what it is. See it up there?
I saw it.
It is a piggy bank. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I've got Inspector Gadget already in there. I'm going to hide these layers. Let's hide these layers right here. Okay, and we'll start off with Inspector Gadget. So background layer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go File, Place. Where are you at? Place Embedded. And we'll go up one, and we'll go to Pig, open Pig, and place him. And there's our pig. All right, so now that he's placed in there, what I can do again is I can come in with my quick selection tool, hit place. I can make him a little bit smaller, but I can do that later. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to start making a selection on the pig. I end up getting a selection right on down to here, okay? And I'm not getting all of that. I'm missing a little bit of that pig right there. Oops, I get too much. I can hold the Alt key down to get rid of that. There we go. That's a little bit better. All right, so now again, I've made my selection. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the select menu and I'm going to go to refine edge and let's see what we come up with here. Okay, so I got the smart radius. I don't know whether smart radius is what I want here this time. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that selection in slightly, shift the edge in, and then maybe even shift it in some more. There we go. And then maybe go feather it a slight bit. There we go. That doesn't look too bad, although might have.
You lost an eyeball.
Yeah, I lost the eyeball. I always do that, but I can fix that. Yeah, so let's see. Maybe if I go to Smart Radius, and let's see if I come back to this. Let's see if I get to Smart Radius and come around the edge like that and see what happens. Did I do anything that I like there? Yeah, I don't like what it's doing. It's actually erasing it. So let's hit cancel, and let's go select, refine edge, and actually hit cancel. Let me get that eye in there. That eye's bugging me. There's the eye. Okay, so the eye's back. And let's go select, refine edge again. And let's go Let's try just feathering it right from the beginning. Nope, that's no good. I don't like that. Let's try smoothing it. And I don't, yeah, actually, maybe if I now insert, move it in. There, that's better. That ain't too bad. Let's actually bring it in some more. That's not too bad. I think that might be all right. Let's hit OK. And yeah, that's not too bad. Maybe what I'll do is go select, modify, expand. Let's expand it by 1. Hit OK. Perfect. That might do it. All right, and now I'm going to go select layer new, layer via copy. And now let's take a look at our pig and see what we got. Yep, now that pig don't look bad. The edge is really pretty good on that. Mm-hmm. All right, so then the other thing that I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to try to rebuild a little bit of this pig down at the bottom here. So it's going to be a little tricky. So what I think I'm going to try to do first is come in here and click on this and make a nice big selection, just like that. It'll make sense in a minute when you see what I'm about to do. Try to get as much of this pig as I face, this cheek as I can get, right like that. Mm-hmm. Okay, select, modify, feather, and I'll feather it by 2. Hit OK. There. Okay, and now on that I'm going to go layer new, layer by copy. All right, and now I've got this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to select it and drag it down. And I'm going to take it, and I'm going to rotate it. Edit. Where are we at here? Edit, transform, rotate. There we go. And rotate it around and bring it up. Bring it into position here. That's probably pretty good. That'll probably do it. I think that'll do it. And then select. All right, hit apply. Okay, so then what I probably need to do is I need to probably erase some of this. So what I'm going to do, the reason I'm doing this is I'm trying to fill in some more of his cheek. And I would do the same thing over here, okay? I'm going to try erasing this first. Let's make this a little bit bigger, like about like that. And let's actually bring the flow down quite a bit, because I can do this very slowly and you'll get a better result. See, that's even too much. I want to bring it down to almost single digit. That's probably good right there. See, I bring it down very slowly. And what I want to try to do is, I'm trying to work it in. I want to try to work it in. See what I'm doing? I'm erasing as much of it as I can. I don't want to leave a lot of it. I'm only using it as a way to get some of that skin back, get some of that pig back in there. Okay? Keep working it down. I got to be careful, though, because if I get too close to the hands, then I've defeated the reason I've done it. Bring it down into about there. It's probably about as good as it's going to get. And let's hide that layer for a second and that layer. Let's hide these layers. Let's hide that. Okay, and let's see if I can kind of soften this just a bit. Let's bring that back for a second. Yeah, I'm getting right to the point where the finger's there. See that finger right there? Mm-hmm. That's where I got to be careful. So just bring this down a little bit more, and I'll probably just call it a day. Right about like that's probably good. I got to be careful. Like I say, that finger's starting to come back. So what I could do now that I've done this is I can bring that layer back in. This is my pig's layer. Hide that layer. And what I could do is on this layer, I could come over and I could get my clone stamp. And I could maybe make the clone stamp a little bit bigger. And I could just, again, make sure I don't have full value on this, bring the flow down quite a bit. And if I want to make sure that this thing is kind of like soft, okay?
Right.
Then I can come in here and I can sample and I can just quickly start, and make sure that you are all layers. Okay, and now maybe I can get it. There, yeah, see? All layers. And just carefully, slowly come in and, you know, pop in some color that will blend that in. Just carefully, ever so carefully, blend that in a little bit. And that's not too bad. I mean, you know, again, as I say, I'm not going for perfection here. I'm just going for a demonstration. But that's not too bad. You see what I'm saying? to actually getting to where I want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then what I would do is I would come over here and I'd do the same thing on this side where, and again, I would have these two layers selected and I would go layer, merge layers, merge down. Now I've got that layer. Okay. And then I'd come over here and I would make a nice big selection over here of this nice big area. Get as much of it as I can possibly get. Like that. Come on. And then go select modify feather. Maybe feather it by 3. And hit OK. And then go layer new. Layer by copy. And now I have that. Again, sort of softened, which is what I'm looking for. And now I can take this thing and I can start bringing this down to about where I want it. And I'll do the same thing where I'll go edit transform. And I'll just basically rotate this guy around until I get it in the position that I'm looking for and bring it down. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make that face pretty much whole. That's really what I'm trying to do here. Trying to give myself more of that face. Okay, and how's that look? Let's see if we got that about where I want it. Pretty good. I could probably move it up just a tiny bit. Let's see. That's probably okay. Okay, and then again, it's the same deal where I'm just going to basically come in here and I'm going to erase a little bit of this. Let me come in and get that layer. Come in here and erase a little bit of that in here. Slowly come down and work it down. Yeah, 6%. I'm erasing it. Let's actually hide the background layer. I'm sorry, hide that layer. Let's see if we can erase it. It's easier to erase it this way. Erase it like that. I got to be very careful doing this. And now bring it back. Yeah, it's giving me a little bit of trouble right in here. Let me see if I can get rid of some of that. And bring that down. Okay, and then at a certain point, I guess the thing to do with this would be to just start, instead of erasing it all, see I'm starting to get down too low. What I would now do is I'd come in and get my clone stamp tool, again, maybe make it a little bit smaller, and then start very carefully coming in and cloning a little bit of this color back into this. The key is I'm trying to get rid of those fingers. I don't want those fingers showing. Okay, so I'm going to try to work them fingers out, try to get this thing looking like how I think it should look as the pig. All right, and maybe even come this way a little bit. And again, I'd work on this. I'm not going to spend enough time to make sure I get the whole thing done perfectly, but you can see it's starting to come together, right? I mean, you can see I'm starting to get something that looks more or less correct. And then if you want, you can clone this and come down here and start cloning that fingernail out. That's the other thing, too. Is you want that to be gone. You want that to be out of here, okay? And actually, I'd have to do quite a bit of work on this because remember, I've got this set very low. Okay, and then you can just kind of, work this down. And if you want at this point, you can probably come back and bring this up to full volume because this is just going to go down. You're just going to make this dark. Just going to bring this all down. See what I'm doing? I'm trying to create enough of this that it's just going to go down and give me a lot of that area down there. Okay, sort of like a neck that you're not going to see. It's going to be hidden anyway. So, but I'm just basically bringing this down, making this look like I think it probably should look in that area. Yep, just keep working it down. That's all. This isn't that important because this is going to go inside the jacket, but I want something to go there so that it appears to disappear the proper way. And I'm getting close to what I'm looking for. That's pretty good. I mean, again, as I say, is it perfect? No, I'm not really going for perfect. I'm going for a demonstration here, so get the general idea. That works. Okay, so now I have my pig face. That's how I more or less worked on my pig face and got my pig face done. So let's bring Inspector Gadget back. There's Inspector Gadget. So now I got my pig face, and I say to myself, okay, well, oops, wait a minute, hold on, Control Z. What I want to do is, let's hide him for a second. I got these two layers together, and I'm going to select both of those two layers, layer, merge layers. Now I've got the piggy on his face, and bring Gadget back, take the piggy layer, and I go edit, pre-transform, And I'm going to bring him down quite a bit. Bring him down till I think he's big enough to hide that hat. See if that's about right. It's probably a little bit bigger than the other one. Bring it down a little bit more. Let's see where the hat goes. There's the hat. Okay, so I need it to be at least that big. That's probably about the size that I did it. I think that's about the size that I did it. Right there. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hit apply. Okay, so now I have my inspector. I have my pig. And now the only thing that I want to do is I want to give this the illusion that the head's going inside the jacket. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here. Actually, this is how I do it right there. You can see it. See it? See what I did?
Yep.
Okay, so what I did essentially is I hid the pig, come in here, and I took my polygon lasso tool on the background layer, and I'm just going to carefully come in here, and I'm going to grab and follow along carefully, somewhat carefully at least, the line of his jacket, and bring that jacket down like it would tuck around the pig's face. Make sure I don't get his face in there. I just want the jacket. So I'm going to make sure I get the jacket and not the face. Keep coming around. And the trick of this is that you want the detailing to be sharp on the edge of the jacket that's going to go up against the pig. Then the rest of it doesn't matter because it's just going to, sit in front of the other. So I'm going to come in here and grab all of this, come around like this, come around like that, and come over here and grab this over to about here. Then watch, I can just come out here like this, and I can grab a big old piece. Doesn't really matter. See what my point is?
Mm-hmm.
Select that. With that layer selected, layer, new, layer via copy. There he is. I bring it up above my pig. Let's bring the pig back. There's the pig. There's the collar. What happened to my collar? There's my collar. Okay. And I got a little cleanup to do on the pig here. And what I would probably been better off doing would be to select that, okay, that collar, and go select, modify, and then go feather and feather it by 1. Hit OK. And then go select inverse. And then hit delete. And what that will do is that will kind of clean it up a little bit. Select, deselect, and there it is. I still have a little bit of work to do on his face there, but if you go view, fit on the screen, there he is. And then what I did, the other thing that I did to make the pig look a little bit better was I select the layer and I come into the effects menu and inner shadow, and I applied an inner shadow to him to kind of make it look a little bit. See what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
Giving him a little bit of
dimension.
All right, and I have it set to 90. Maybe I want to go. Maybe I want to go negative 90. Yeah, but you see again, the problem is I'd have to build a little bit more to the pig down there. I'd have to work on this a little bit. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But when I get done with the whole thing, I end up with something that looks pretty good. I mean, I got this pig with the shadow, and there you have it. So that's how I did that one. All right, so that's it. Those are some of the things that I did, and what I want to do now is let's close the pig out. No, and let's go to this guy because this guy's always fun. Get rid of this, and we don't need this anymore. All right, so here's the deal. One of the problems that I've been running into, and this is something that I want to make sure that you guys are clear on, is that you need to send me a PSD file. So what's a PSD file? This file that we're working on right here, I want you to look up here. It says a little strong.psd. So when you have a layered document like this, you generally save it as a PSD file. PSD stands for the native file for Photoshop. So what I would do is I'd go File, Save As, and I'm going to go to my desktop. I believe I have a folder I prepared for this for tonight. Let's see if I can locate that. Wait a minute, where is it? Mine. I guess I didn't. Well, let me make a folder. Let's see if I can make a folder. New folder. There we go. Let's call it Tonight. All right, so I created a folder called Tonight. I'm going to open the folder up. There's nothing inside of it. So I'm going to call this A Little Strong, and I want you to notice right here, Photoshop PSD and PDD. So Photoshop PSD is the native file format. When I save it as this file format, it's going to keep all these layers intact. And it's going to keep the size of this the way it is. So that if I were to come back tomorrow and work on this, whatever is here, I'd actually have access to, and I could actually work on it. Or if you send it to me, I could actually look at all this stuff to see what you did, and I can figure out many of the things that you're doing. So that's why one of the things that you want to do is send me this file this way. So A Little Strong PSD, it's in the folder called Tonight. I hit Save. And then it's going to say maximize, yeah. Photoshop, maximize, yeah. Okay. So now that's done. Really just that simple. The other thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to go File, Save As, and you're going to change the formatting from a Photoshop PSD to a JPEG. So now you'll not see it it's still in the Tonight's folder, but there's no JPEGs in there, and a JPEG is not a PSD, so you don't see the PSD. All you're seeing is an empty folder because it says no items match your search. There's no JPEGs, and a PSD is different than a JPEG. It won't show. Does that make sense to you?
It makes sense to me.
Okay, so I hit Save. And then this comes up, and I want to make sure that this is maximized to a larger size. This is something that's very important for you guys to understand. Whenever you create a JPEG, the program automatically tries to optimize it. What it means essentially is that it's throwing away some of the information. That's why it's very important for you never to make more than one JPEG when you're working on a project. Never take a JPEG and turn it into another JPEG. If you need to make another JPEG for another size or any reason whatsoever, always try to go back to the original Photoshop file, open that file, and generate a new JPEG. It is really a very bad idea to take a JPEG, open it up in Photoshop, do some work to it, and then save it as a JPEG again, because it's going to throw away information every time you do that. So it's really not a good idea to do that. So I'm going to hit OK, and now I'm going to come down here, and let's close some of this stuff, and let me go to Tonight. Let's see, there's Tonight. So if you open Tonight up, there is your PSD file, and there is your JPEG. And you see, if you sit over it, it says Item Type JPEG. Sit over top of that, Adobe Photoshop image. So what I would then do is, before I submit this, I would just select both of them. I'm on a PC, so I would right-click. Come on. And I would go Send to Compress Zip Folder. And there I have a zip folder, and this zip folder has in it my JPEG and my Photoshop image. And that's what you would send to me. You would put your name and the course and all that stuff on it, and that's what you would send me. So when I open it, I see your JPEG, which I can look at. There's your JPEG, and I can take your Photoshop document, open it up in Photoshop, and then I'll be able to see your layers. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all I got. Any questions, Amanda? It's all you now.
I don't have any questions, but for the Mac users, if you're going to compress the two files together to create a zip folder, basically you do the same thing, except for when you highlight the two items, you're going to right-click and you're going to go to compress two items, and that's going to create your zip folder.
Okay.
And that's just from the Mac point of view.
Great. I don't know whether they are still giving Macs out at the school or whether now everybody switched over to PCs, though.
If you're in a graphic design program, they are sending out Macs. If you're in a programming IT field or something like that, you still take some graphic design courses, but they send out PCs. I don't work from the computer that they sent me.
Okay.
I work on my Mac because that's what I'm used to.
Okay. All right. That's fair enough. All right, so that's it. I'm good. I guess you guys are all right. Just like I said, remember tomorrow night, Wednesday night, and Saturday night, and you also have a teaching assistant if you want. Also, if you need to go to Blackboard at any time, there's always somebody in there that can help you. Okay, so you should be able to get the help that you need. I'm done, and I guess I'll stop recording now.
Okay, and I'm the only other one here, so I'm all good.
Okay.